So there's actually two of us speaking, and
Hi, I'm Irene, by the way.
Irene, would you like to give a quick intro of yourself? Or maybe I'll do it. So she's also a grad of the SAP program. She started her education at CAP. Yes, got it. And yeah, she really loves the human component of design and is a very empathetic colleague. And that's why we're here today.
Great. Thanks for the intro, David.
Oh, one note. How did everyone enjoy the break and the pastries? I just want to. When I was walking past the garbage bins, I saw quite a lot of paper plates and paper cups in the landfill. Guys, there are sorting bins. Please use them. Be nice to the earth. Thank you. All right, want to get us started?
Sure. Okay. So, I'm Irene, and this is David. We're both from SAP, both grads of the SAP program, as mentioned, and we both value the importance of diversity and inclusion, so we'd like to share a little bit about that with you guys today.
So this topic of diversity and inclusion, several of you have, and we really enjoy it so far. There have been some really humanizing talks. So we want to express it in a certain way. I'd like to try to express it through poetry. Is that okay? Can we try that?
Sure, let's give that a shot.
All right. So, our work at SAP, we seek a resolution to working with speed at scale, those tribulations. Needing an ever-evolving method of communication, enter SAP Jam Enterprise Collaboration.
So what I think David's trying to say is that SAP Jam is an enterprise SaaS product that aims to bring the right people and the right tools together to work more effectively.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Awesome. So we work with colleagues all over the world, from Vancouver, Palo Alto, Shanghai, Mexico, Germany, and Singapore. And customers are also based all over the world, from North America, South America, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East. Our product has over 34 million subscribers worldwide.
That's a lot of subscribers. And to remain competitive and appealing for global customer retention, we must remember localization, accessibility, and enterprise work conventions.
Great points, David. So we need to stay competitive and be appealing to our customers. And so the first point David mentions is localization, where our product's translated in over 42 languages, currency, date, and time format. And with accessibility, as designers know, that we need to be aware of color contrast and being keyboard and screen reader friendly. And the last point David mentions is enterprise work conventions, where we need to avoid culturally sensitive phrases.
I really enjoy how you're interpreting my kind of mumbo jumbo into language that everyone can understand. Thanks.
No problem.
So considering these factors may seem quite constraining, but they help us focus when entrenched in designing. For example, when we keep in mind our friends with poor vision, everyone benefits through mindful tabbed navigation.
So helping people that are differently abled really helps benefit the product overall. So here's an example of SAP Jam, where users can create a group and be able to tap through different elements. And as you guys know, with accessibility, we're not only helping with the visually impaired, but it really helps everyone else that's using the product.
Cool. Well, some might be wondering how this is relevant to you. Well, one day, your work will have global reach too.
So I think what David's trying to say is that even if you're not working in the enterprise industry, you will have a global audience as well. So thinking about all these different things, designing for a global audience, it does become challenging when we need to think about all of these things, and we haven't even started designing yet.
Added constraints increase difficulty, a foregone conclusion. But we have an ally, diversity and inclusion.
So David, how does diversity and inclusion help us?
When we include colleagues who are different into our team, we gain more perspective, broadening mainstream.
Cool. So being inclusive of diverse team members really helps improve the product overall. So here's an example. In SAP Jam, we have a team member, a colleague who's fluent in Arabic, and he spots a bug in the product when he first joins early on. So he says, the term comment translated in Arabic is actually not accurate, and it sounds kind of awkward in Arabic. And so he says, so he provides some improvements on the translation. Here's another example in the product where he notices that the time format was translated inaccurately in the right to left UI for Arabic users. And so what looked like 3 months ago to us appeared to him in reverse as a go months 3.
Right, so these bugs persisted in the UI just because we weren't aware of it. So it's really difficult to catch things that we're not aware of, and a bit on unconscious bias, as was reflected on before by previous talks. By virtue of living as a human being, we each have our own particular way of seeing. Whether it's gender, ethnicity, culture, or age, our views are filtered through an unconsciously biased gauge.
Unconscious bias. So this is something that we have all within us, as Terrence mentioned earlier. But it's really important that we are aware of it and not be ashamed of it, but rather be aware of it and look at the world in different perspectives and avoid only relying on our own internal lenses.
And you can remember it better with this poem.
So what else does diversity and inclusion benefit?
Embracing diversity and inclusion is not only long overdue, it's beneficial to business bottom lines too.
Great point. So diversity and inclusion helps improve the product experience, but it also helps the business as well. According to McKinsey, gender diverse management teams generate 48% higher operating margins. And 85% of enterprises agree that diversity results in the most innovative ideas, according to Forbes. So we went over a lot of points, David. What are some ways to incorporate diversity and inclusion into our UX practice?
Well, the first one, we've developed some techniques, some methods to avoid a closed clique. Surround yourself with diversity is the first technique.
Good one. So surround ourselves with diversity. At SAP, we have a diversity and inclusion program that highlights 4 main pillars, including gender intelligence, cross-generational intelligence, culture and identity, and differently abled people.
With such guidance in place as a reminder of kindness, we practice the muscle of open-mindedness.
The muscle of open-mindedness. So with more practice, as we keep working on it, it gets easier.
Confronting apathy is a constant practice of being self-aware and challenging bias.
Right. So with confronting apathy, when we experience something going against our principles of diversity and inclusion, it's important that we don't ignore it.
A core tenet of UX that is quite collaborative, empathy, refrain from taking only self-perspective.
Empathy, my favorite. Diversity and inclusion really lends itself well to the UX practice.
Right, so what we're dealing with today in our everyday work, there's a lot of tech coming up, so things like bots, things like machine learning, and it's very difficult to grasp all these topics if we're just siloed in our own perspectives. So here's a bit on that. In this tumultuous time of advancing tech, bots and machine learning up to our necks. To apply these ideas well, one thing we've found, diversity and inclusion strengthens us all around. We hope you enjoyed this exploration of prose, maybe even increasing consideration for those who might have a differing perspective from you. Just know you'll be a better designer and human being too. So I hope you like this kind of Dr. Seuss approach to it. We felt it was a bit of a humanizing, because diversity and inclusion, it's a very human thing to reflect on, and we all know it. We just need to be aware of it and practice it every day.
Great. Thanks for listening.